In this video, we're going to talk about the total costs associated with starting an SMMA or social media marketing agency. All right, everybody, David back here again with Two Guys Build a Biz on YouTube, the best place for anything related to starting and growing or scaling your social media marketing agency or SMMA. So if those are topics that you're interested in, be sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit like so that you'll be notified the next time that we post a piece of content like this. Before we jump into it, everybody give Derek thumbs up for some of the fire videos he's been posting lately. If you guys haven't checked out some of the stuff that Derek's been posting, be sure to check it out in the video section after this video. Don't go there right now. We've got some awesome stuff to cover here, but be sure to give Derek some kudos in the comments down below. And I'm also really curious from you guys. You might notice there's been some changes to the home office, really been making it a little bit more posh, a little bit more business in here. So if you guys are feeling it, let me know in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts. So let's jump into the topic here. Let's talk about the actual costs associated with starting an SMMA or social media marketing agency in 2021 or beyond. And I say beyond because the costs really haven't changed that much over the last 4 years since we've been in this game, and they really won't change very much in the future. So let's talk about this. And this is inspired by my Instagram DMs because I get asked these questions a million times every single week associated with how much does it cost to start a business? What are the total costs that I need to save to start my SMMA? And the reality is this is one of the most inexpensive businesses that you can get started with. And I wanna break this down for you guys so that you won't treat this as a roadblock. If you're thinking about starting your agency, you can just go full steam ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and talk about the total costs. So the topics I'm gonna cover, just so you guys know what to expect here, I'm gonna talk about the types of formation. And although this is focused on the United States, these are very similar in pretty much every other country throughout the world. And if this isn't the case in your country, you can probably incorporate in a country elsewhere. I know that there's certain countries where it's kind of difficult to start a business, but you can always incorporate somewhere else. I'm not a tax professional and I'm not a lawyer, so take anything I talk about in this video with a grain of salt and not as legal or tax related advice. So let's talk about the types of formation. I'm gonna talk about the minimum required tooling to get started, literally the baseline, just the essentials for what you need, the total prices of all of that, and then what next steps look like to actually get your business up and off the ground. So let's first talk about the types of formation. We've got sole proprietorships or sole traders, LLC or limited liability companies, and an LLC/partnership, okay? So let's talk about the first one, sole proprietorship. For most people watching this video, this might be the best route for you to go to get started. It's easy, it's very little paperwork, it's pretty much free to get rolling. Basically say, hey, I want to start a business. I'm going to be a sole proprietorship for now and be off to the races so you can start focusing on the next things for your business. There's really nothing wrong with being a sole proprietorship or a sole trader. The only protections, or the only difference is that an LLC offers you some legal protections. These are probably not going to be an issue for you. I've never bumped into this with Derek and myself. None of our students have ever bumped into any legal issues, and nobody that we know in any of the thousands of members of our Facebook groups have had any legal action brought against them. However, there are benefits to having that protection and there is peace of mind associated with it. So eventually you may want to move from a sole proprietorship to an LLC. And again, this is from my experience. This is not me telling you what to do. I'm not a legal professional, but I'm just kind of sharing some insights from things that I've learned over the years of running our business. So the benefits of sole proprietorship: it's free to start, it's easy to set up, you just claim your earnings on your tax return, right? So when you're filing your tax return, it'll say, hey, was there any additional income other than what you got from your W-2? And you'll claim this on your tax return. What we do, or what we would do if we were a sole proprietorship, I should say, is I would take 30% of the earnings that I've made and I'd put that in a savings account. For me, where I live and where Derek lives, that 30% is a pretty solid expectation for what we're going to owe the government at tax time. And regardless of where you are in the world, you are going to have to pay taxes. So you should look at what you paid in taxes last year, what that percentage was of your paycheck, and then allocate that in a savings account that you do not touch so that you can pay that in your taxes at the end of the year. But this is very easy. You don't need to pay an accountant to do this. You don't need to pay anybody else to do this for you unless you pay somebody to do your taxes like H&R Block or something. But it's very simple. So that's really the benefits of sole proprietorship. Very easy to get set up, no additional costs for it, and you just claim it on your tax return. Super easy. The next type of business is a single member LLC. You pay a small incorporation fee. It's usually between $75 and $200 to create a single member LLC. There is more paperwork involved than a sole proprietorship, but it's still very easy to set it up through your state. When we started our business in Minnesota, we just went to the Department of Treasury for the state of Minnesota, followed their instructions on how to create the LLC, and we had our business up and running in a couple of hours. It was very simple. Don't let this be a roadblock for you. If this is too complicated, just go be a sole proprietor, right? And then figure it out. Once you've got cash flow, you can just pay somebody to set up your LLC for you. Not a big deal. Again, a little bit more paperwork, but it does offer you some legal protections. Whether that legal protection is valuable to you is up to you to really decide, but tons of people go the sole proprietor, sole trader route, and it works out great for them. As far as your earnings, much like a sole proprietorship, if you're a single member LLC, you'll probably just claim this as a line item on your tax return. Again, you'll be saving 30% of what your business is making in a savings account, so you'll have that for your taxes at the end of the year. Super, super easy. Again, probably not necessary to pay an accountant to do your taxes for you, but you definitely can. Might be a little bit more complex than a sole proprietorship. The last type of business delineation is a partnership or an LLC. This is what Derek and I are. Really the only difference between a single member LLC or limited liability company and a partnership is that a partnership obviously has more than one person involved. You're a partner with somebody else. So Derek and I are partners in our LLC, and we are each 50% owners of the LLC. Very similar to single member, you pay your incorporation through your state. It's got more paperwork than a sole proprietorship, but it's still very easy to set it up. You'll claim the earnings on your tax returns. What we do, just to make things even easier, is we use a platform called Gusto to run our payroll. It handles all of our quarterly taxes, does all the stuff that an accountant would normally do, makes it super easy for us come tax time to have all that information. But really how you want to handle this is up to you. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but you should be good to go with that alone. The minimum required expenses. So let's talk about how inexpensive it really is to get this business up and off the ground. I know a lot of people, when they think entrepreneurship, they're like, oh, it's so expensive. There's so many costs. There's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a business, but that's how you think about starting a business. This is about to blow your mind. So you have your cost of incorporation, which is zero if you choose to be a sole proprietor, okay? Or a sole trader. If you're an LLC or a partnership, you'll probably fall somewhere between $75 and $250 US. If you choose to go through LegalZoom, they charge a lot of stuff for stuff that you don't need. So keep that in mind. You have your domain, so that's your website URL, right? So that's where people will find you and your agency on the internet. It's $12 typically for the entire year. Unless you choose a really popular name that somebody already owns the domain name and they're trying to sell it for thousands of dollars, like your domain should be $12 a year. And if you're picking a name that it costs thousands of dollars a year, that's probably not necessary. Just letting you know. So probably 12 bucks, 20 bucks for the domain for the entire year. You've got your G Suite or your business email. So G Suite is basically a business email account, right? It's what Google calls it. You log into it like you're logging into Gmail, but it has your company's domain name at the end. It's really nice. So that is $5 for the basic or $10 for like the premium. We're using the basic, always have used the basic. It's $5 a month, works great. Then you have your website hosting or your website builder. We recommend a platform called I'm Creator to get started. That's imcreator.com. It's like $8 per month for a really basic website that looks really good. Otherwise, if you choose like a Wix or a Weebly or a Squarespace, you're gonna be looking somewhere between $10 to $30 per month. Nice things about Wix and Squarespace is they'll actually allow you to set up your business email and your domain as you go through creating your website for the first time. So it makes it really easy to set this stuff up, and there's really no additional steps required on top of that. It's all created when you create your website, which is really nice for a lot of people. So that might be a good way for you to go. So let's talk about the total expenses here. Annually, monthly, and one-time costs. Annually, we've got $12 for the domain. You pay that once a year, renews every year. You can buy several years in advance and lock in that 12 bucks. Every month, you got somewhere between $15 and $40 per month. So to break down that cost, that's your $5 to $10 per month for your business email, and your website hosting at $10 to $30 per month. So your max cost there is about 40 bucks per month, depending on what platform you use for this. Otherwise, it could be little as 15. Then your one time, you've got somewhere between $0 and $250 to get started with your business, right? And again, those costs are coming from the cost of incorporation that you pay one time. Your renewal is free here in the US, depending on your state. If you choose a sole proprietorship, $0 for your one-time fees. If you go the LLC or the partnership route, you're gonna be somewhere between that $75 and $250 range. To break that down, your costs to get started, your lowest possible cost to legitimize your business is $27. $12 for the domain, $5 for your G Suite, and then $10 for like an I'm Creator to build your website. That's total cost to get started here, ladies and gentlemen. And then if you want to create an LLC, you can add in a little bit more. You're looking at less than $200 for the most part to be up and running and have a real business in 2021 here. I mean, is there any better business model in the world? No overhead, no additional costs, no inventory, nothing that you have to buy in advance that you're gonna lose money on. This is literally it. This is how we started our business. We started our business for $150, incorporated through the state of Minnesota, outlined the exact same steps that I just showed you guys, bought our domain for $12, got our Google G Suite, created our site on I'm Creator, and we were up and running for like $150. Easiest thing ever. Like it's so simple. And I think people think, and they get overwhelmed thinking about how hard it is to start a business. And the reality is it's super, super easy. And you can literally follow the steps on your state's or your country's website on how to go through this stuff. I mean, really, really simple stuff, guys. Let's talk about next steps. So now you know how inexpensive it is to get started. So we've eliminated that roadblock for you. You can get up and running for $27 and be off to the races. How do you actually get started with your business? There's a couple of different ways. You can figure it out yourself, and I know a lot of agency owners who've had success with that over time. The real issue with figuring it out yourself is just that you're basically trading your time investment for figuring out mistakes, figuring out and kind of going through the same process that others have, right? Getting incorporated, like all these things that I just taught you all, you're kind of left to figure out on your own. If you invest in a course that takes you through step by step and makes it super easy to follow, steps like this, and then everything that you do after this, you're gonna have success probably in a lot less time. You're gonna have less hardship, less school of hard knocks, right? Less mistakes made, less money wasted. You can actually follow a process that's been proven to go ahead and get up and running. That's why I really advocate for buying a course, right? It's a really inexpensive way of getting started, and the ROI on these programs are absolutely insane. That's why Derek and I spend so much money on continuing education for our own business. Just last week, we spent $8,000 on a course about specific business topics that we're trying to improve upon because we know it's gonna save us so much time figuring these things out on our own. The question we ask ourselves is, do we wanna spend the time to figure this out and potentially make mistakes? Or can we buy somebody else's knowledge who's been through all this before, who can take me by the hand, show me exactly what I should be doing and a blueprint to follow, and basically execute on it. So I'd like to invite you all to check out the SMMABlueprint.com. That's the program that Derek and I have created that will show you the exact steps on how to get your business up and running like we just talked about in this video. Get your first clients, start making good income with your agency. If you have questions about it, definitely hit us down in the comments down below. If you have questions about anything I talked about in this video related to getting your business up and off the ground, I'd love to engage with you guys, answer the questions that you have. I just don't want this to be a roadblock to you in starting an amazing business that's gonna enable you to live life on your terms. So if you found this information useful, definitely hit me in the comments down below, smash the like button. Your feedback is super important to us. We want more from you guys so we know what to post on this channel to make it more useful for you. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Good to be back here again, and we will be back with another video before too long. We'll see you guys soon.